Dawn was raised in a home characterised by drugs, alcohol, and violence. She was also sexually abused at the hands of her father. I met Dawn recently at a church I was visiting, and she shared her story with me. I was so challenged and inspired that with her permission, I want to share her story with you. It was Dawn's 30th birthday party. She was out with friends at a pub and she was having a great time. Her cousin came along, and for some reason, her cousin said to Dawn, "Hey, I dare you to come to church tomorrow." Not one to shirk from a dare, Dawn decided to come. So she got up at 3 or 4 a.m. with a serious hangover and somehow made her way to church on public transport. When she arrived, a woman at the door felt to greet Dawn with a big hug. As Dawn tells it, it was a life-changing moment. She felt this incredible, tangible sense of love. She'd never felt that before. At the service that morning, she made a decision to follow Jesus, and her life began to change. It was 2 years later, and Dawn found herself at Bible college and contemplating that journey of healing. And while she was doing that in her prayer time, she kept hearing these words, "Save Sammy, save Sammy." She went to a counselor and they began to talk about it. And she was asking, is this from God? What is God saying? Save Sammy? Sammy was Dawn's 11-year-old niece. Unbeknownst to Sammy, she and her sister were being groomed by Dawn's father. Dawn realised that it was God, and so she reported her father to the police. It was a difficult story, but it's also a story of salvation. You see, first of all, we see that God saved Dawn. You know, Jesus said that he came not to condemn the world, but to save it. And saving it means not just spiritual salvation, it means holistic salvation, emotional, physical, mental salvation. God came to save every part of ourselves. And we're so blessed to receive God's healing. But then notice what God does. God's heart is for others. And at this point, he invites us into his plan. He invites us to help him save others. And that's what Dawn did. Because she listened to what the Holy Spirit was saying, and because she followed it, Sammy was saved from a lifetime of abuse. It's the same call that each one of us has. It may not be as dramatic as Dawn's story, but each one of us has a role to play in God's salvation, in bringing God's kingdom to earth. It may just look like providing a listening ear to someone, or perhaps giving a word of encouragement. It might mean helping them out in a practical way. It might mean opening your house for a meal or showing hospitality. It may mean literally rescuing them from some situation. But each one of us is called to receive the fullness of God's salvation, to listen and follow the Holy Spirit as he leads us on a journey of healing those wounds from the past, of helping us recognize the incredible love that God has for each one of us. And then as God does that, to then be a part of God's plan, to bring salvation to others, to be a part of God's hands and God's feet, to share the good news, to pray for others, to help them practically, to intervene when it's appropriate to do so, to be a part of God's salvation plan and pass on that incredible love that we've experienced to others. Thanks for tuning in to God Conversations today. I have loved having you here to have your own God conversation and to learn more about how the Holy Spirit wants to speak to us. Go to godconversations.com.